Let me tell you something that quietly destroys a lot of talented people. They're smart, they work hard, they have real skills. But the moment money enters the conversation, they freeze. They suddenly become uncomfortable. They start saying things like, don't worry about it. It's okay, I can do it for free. We're friends, no need to talk about money. Just pay me whatever you think is fair. And that right there, that mindset keeps a lot of people broke. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack talent, but because they've been emotionally trained to feel guilty about charging for their value. And most of this conditioning starts early. A lot of us grew up hearing things like, don't be too materialistic. Money isn't everything. Helping others is the right thing to do. Friends should help each other. Talking about money is rude. And on the surface, those ideas sound noble. But in real life, they can become dangerous. Because nobody teaches you what happens when people take advantage of your kindness. Nobody teaches you what happens when your generosity becomes expected. Nobody teaches you how quickly, "Can you help me real quick?" turns into unpaid labor. And if you've ever been the reliable person in your friend group, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you know how to edit videos. Suddenly, everyone wants help with their YouTube channel. Bro, it'll only take 5 minutes. Then 5 minutes becomes 3 hours. Then they ask for revisions. Then they disappear after you help them. No thank you, no payment, no appreciation, and somehow you're left feeling guilty for being annoyed. Or maybe you're good at graphic design. A friend says, "Hey, can you make me a logo real quick?" Because they're your friend, you say yes. Then they ask, "Can you make the font bigger? Can you try another color? Can you make it look more luxury? Can you send 3 more versions?" And now you're basically working as their unpaid employee. But if you mention payment, suddenly you feel awkward. Why? Because many people confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. Those are not the same thing. Being kind means helping when you genuinely want to. Self-sacrifice means constantly putting yourself last so other people stay comfortable. That's not kindness. That's weak boundaries. And people can feel weak boundaries. They test them, they push them. And once they realize you struggle to say no, they keep asking for more. This gets even worse in family relationships. Family members often assume unlimited access to your time. Maybe you started a business. Now relatives start calling. "Can you help me with this? Can you give me a discount? Can you do this for free? We're family." That phrase alone has drained millions of dollars from entrepreneurs because people use emotional pressure to avoid paying fair value. And the crazy part, the same person who asks you for free help will gladly pay a stranger full price. Why? Because they respect what costs money. They often disrespect what feels easily available. That's human nature. And this doesn't just happen in business, it happens in everyday life. You become the friend everyone calls when they need favors. Need a ride? Call you. Need advice? Call you. Need help moving apartments? Call you. Need emergency support? Call you. But when you need something, everyone suddenly gets very busy. That's when reality hits. Some relationships are built on mutual respect. Others are built on access. And if you don't create boundaries, people will confuse access with ownership. They start acting like your time belongs to them. That's dangerous. Your time is your life. Every hour you give away carelessly is something you'll never get back. And here's the biggest lie people believe. If I charge people, they'll think I'm greedy. Wrong. The right people respect clear boundaries. The wrong people get offended because they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. Big difference. Read that again. When someone gets angry because you finally value your time, they're not upset about your prices. They're upset that your boundaries now cost them something. That's why successful people are very clear. Consultants charge consultation fees. Lawyers charge by the hour. Doctors charge for appointments. Agencies require deposits. Professionals create systems because systems protect their value. Meanwhile, emotional people say, "I don't want things to be awkward." And then they spend years being used. You have to understand this. Money conversations are not dirty. They are necessary. Money creates clarity. Clarity protects relationships. When expectations are clear, nobody feels cheated. Nobody feels confused. Nobody feels resentful. The real relationship killer is silent frustration. That's what creates bitterness. That's what destroys friendships. And if someone truly respects you, they won't want your talent for free. They'll want you to win. They'll support your growth. They'll happily pay. And if someone disappears the moment you start charging, that relationship was never built on respect. It was built on convenience. And convenience always disappears when there's a price tag. So stop feeling guilty for valuing your time. Stop apologizing for charging. Stop acting like your skills are random favors. Your skills took years to build. Your time matters. Your knowledge matters. And if you don't respect your own value, nobody else will. In the next part, we're going to talk about why free help often creates entitlement instead of gratitude, and why doing things for free can actually make people respect you less. Here's a painful truth a lot of people learn way too late. Free help rarely creates gratitude. It often creates entitlement. And once you understand this, you'll stop giving your time away so casually. A lot of people grow up believing this idea. If I help people for free, they'll appreciate me. Sounds nice, but real life doesn't always work like that. In fact, sometimes the more you do for people, the less they value what you do. Why? Because human beings naturally value what costs them something. Time, money, effort, commitment. When people invest nothing, they often respect nothing. And you've probably experienced this before. Maybe someone asked you for career advice. You spent 2 hours helping them. You reviewed their resume. You gave them interview tips. You shared contacts. They sounded excited. They promised they'd follow through. And then? Nothing. They ignored everything you said. A few weeks later, they come back asking for more help. Same pattern, same excuses, same lack of action. And you start realizing, this person doesn't actually want help. They enjoy access. That's very different. Or maybe you're a freelancer. A friend says, "Can you just make me a quick website? It's super simple, shouldn't take long." And because you don't want to seem selfish, you agree. Then suddenly, they want revisions, then more revisions, then last-minute changes, then one small extra feature, then another, and somehow the project never ends. Why? Because free work often has no boundaries. When people pay, they usually become more focused. They know every extra request has a cost. When people don't pay, everything feels unlimited. And unlimited access creates abuse. Not always intentionally. Sometimes people genuinely don't realize they're being inconsiderate, but that doesn't change the outcome. You still lose time. You still lose energy. And often, you lose respect too. That's the crazy part. People assume free work builds stronger relationships. Sometimes it does the opposite. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how demanding people become when they get things for free? At restaurants, the people hunting for free items often complain the most. Clients who negotiate your price down to almost nothing often become your biggest headache. People who borrow money from friends are often slower to pay it back than banks. Why? Because low investment often leads to low commitment. And this problem becomes even worse when you constantly say yes. People start labeling you. "Oh, ask him, he'll do it." "She's always willing to help. He never charges." Sounds flattering at first, but eventually you become everyone's backup plan, everyone's free consultant, everyone's unpaid assistant, everyone's emotional support hotline. And once that pattern is established, it becomes very hard to break. Because the moment you say no, people act shocked. What happened to you? You've changed. You only care about money now? No, you just stopped allowing exploitation. That's different. And let's be honest, some people weaponize guilt. They'll say things like, "I thought we were friends. It's such a small favor. I'd do it for you. Why are you making this transactional?" These phrases are designed to pressure you emotionally, and many people fall for it because they want to be liked. But being liked and being respected are not always the same thing. Sometimes people like you because you make their life easier. That's not real respect. Real respect happens when people understand your time has value. And this applies to content creators too. Imagine you spend weeks making high-quality videos. Someone messages you, "Hey, can you teach me everything you know?" For free, in one phone call, as if your years of experience can be casually transferred over coffee. That's insane. Your experience has value because it took sacrifice to build. Late nights, failures, stress, learning curves, mistakes. People often want the reward without respecting the journey, and your job is to stop making that easy. This doesn't mean become selfish, it means become intentional. Help people when you genuinely want to. Support people you care about. Be generous when it feels right. But stop operating from guilt. Stop helping because you're afraid people will judge you. Stop giving unlimited access to people who contribute nothing. Healthy relationships require balance, mutual effort, mutual respect, mutual investment. That's true in friendships, that's true in business, that's true in family, and that's true in life. When people have some skin in the game, money, effort, commitment, they usually take things more seriously. They show up differently. They respect your boundaries more, and they often respect you more. Free isn't always generous. Sometimes free teaches people to undervalue you. And once people undervalue you, they start treating your time like it's disposable. That's a dangerous habit, because if you keep giving without boundaries, eventually you become exhausted, resentful, burnt out, and deeply frustrated. Then you start wondering why nobody appreciates you. The answer? Because you trained people to expect your value at no cost, and people rarely protect what they got too easily. In the next, we're going to talk about why unpaid advice is usually ignored and why people often only listen after they've paid a price. Here's something that frustrates almost everyone who becomes successful at anything. Once people see that you know what you're doing, they start asking for advice. How to make money, how to start a business, how to grow on YouTube, how to invest, how to lose weight, how to build discipline, how to fix relationships, how to improve their life. And at first, it feels good. You feel respected. People value your opinion. They come to you because they think you have answers. So you genuinely try to help. You sit down with them, you explain everything, you share mistakes you made. You give them shortcuts that took you years to learn. You save them from expensive failures. And they respond with, "Wow, that's amazing. That makes so much sense. Thank you so much." And then, they do absolutely nothing. Nothing changes. Same habits, same excuses, same problems. Then 3 months later, they come back asking for more advice. Same conversation, different day. And that's when you realize something painful. A lot of people don't actually want solutions. They want temporary motivation. They want emotional comfort. They want to feel productive without doing productive things. Asking for advice gives people that illusion. It feels like progress, but it's often just entertainment. And free advice makes this even worse, because when people don't pay anything, financially, emotionally, or through effort, they don't feel committed to the information. Think about fitness. How many people ask trainers for free workout tips? How do I get abs? What should I eat? How often should I train? The trainer explains everything. Then the person goes home and orders fast food. Why? Because hearing advice is easy. Following advice is hard. And people respect what they sacrifice for. That's why someone who pays thousands for coaching often takes action faster than someone who gets free advice on YouTube. It's not always because the paid advice is better. It's because financial commitment creates psychological commitment. When money leaves your pocket, your attention increases. You suddenly take things seriously. And this applies everywhere: business, health, relationships, career growth, education, even parenting. People tend to ignore wisdom that arrives too easily. That's why many people ignore advice from family members. A father warns his son for years. The son ignores him. Then a stranger says the exact same thing during a paid seminar, and suddenly it feels life-changing. Same message, different perceived value. That's human psychology. And if you're someone who constantly gives free advice, this can become exhausting. People call you for quick questions. They ask for just 5 minutes. They want your strategy, your contacts, your shortcuts, your insights. And after taking hours of your time, they often disappear and do nothing. Or worse, they fail because they ignored half your advice, then somehow blame you. That's when free advice becomes dangerous, because now you wasted time and damaged your authority. This is especially common in entrepreneurship. Someone asks, "How do I start an online business?" You spend 2 hours explaining, pick one skill, learn sales, understand marketing, build consistency, be patient. And what do? The next week they're chasing crypto, then drop shipping, then day trading, then AI automation, then some random get-rich-quick trend. They weren't looking for truth, they were looking for easy money. And free advice becomes background noise when people are addicted to shortcuts. That's why high-level professionals are very careful with their time. Lawyers charge consultation fees. Business consultants charge hourly rates. Therapists charge session fees. Coaches charge for programs. Not because they're greedy, because they understand something. People respect structured advice more than casual advice. When someone books a paid consultation, they show up on time. They prepare questions. They take notes. They pay attention. Why? Because now they have something to lose. That investment changes behavior. And no, this doesn't mean never help anyone. Sometimes giving free advice is fine. If it's someone you care about, if they've shown discipline, if they actually implement, if there's mutual respect. That's different. But stop giving deep, personalized guidance to people who treat your experience like free content. Your knowledge came from pain, from mistakes, from failures, from years of trial and error. That knowledge has value. Protect it. And more importantly, protect your time. Because time is the one resource you never get back. And here's the hard truth. Some people only learn through pain. They ignore your free advice. Then life teaches them through failure. Then suddenly, they understand what you were saying all along. That's not your responsibility. You can't force people to change. You can't save people who refuse to act. And you can't care more about someone's future than they do. That lesson will save you years of frustration. Offer advice when it feels right, but stop trying to rescue people who refuse to act. Your role is not to carry everyone. Your role is to build your own life. And if someone truly values your wisdom, either they'll pay for it or they'll honor it through action. In the next part, we'll talk about why setting boundaries actually increases respect and why rules protect both your business and your relationships. A lot of people think boundaries push others away. That if you say no, if you charge for your time, if you create rules, people will think you're cold, arrogant, or selfish. But real life usually works the opposite way. Weak boundaries attract disrespect. Strong boundaries attract respect. And if you've ever felt drained by people constantly asking for favors, this part is probably exactly what you need to hear. Because many people are not exhausted from working hard. They're exhausted from having no boundaries. They answer calls at midnight. They reply to every message instantly. They allow people to constantly interrupt their schedule. They keep saying yes to things they don't want to do. And then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed. It's because they trained people to treat them like they're always available. And once people get used to unlimited access, they start expecting it. That expectation becomes dangerous. Let's say you're a freelancer. At first, you're hungry for opportunities, so you tell clients, "Message me anytime. I can make unlimited revisions. I'll adjust whatever you need." Sounds great in the beginning, until your phone starts buzzing at 11 p.m. Then clients ask for small changes every day. Then projects drag on for months. Then you realize you built a business with zero structure, and now your clients control your life. That's what happens when you confuse flexibility with professionalism. Professional people create systems, and systems create respect. Think about doctors. You can't randomly call your doctor at 2 a.m. because you have a question. You book an appointment. Think about lawyers. They don't let clients endlessly ask free questions through text messages. They bill for their time. Think about successful agencies. They require deposits. They set deadlines. They define deliverables. They limit revisions. And because of that, people respect their process. Meanwhile, people with no boundaries often hear things like, "Can you do one extra thing? This won't take long. Can you make an exception? Can you help me really quick?" And really quick is one of the biggest lies people tell, because really quick usually turns into unpaid labor. Now here's the important part. Most people won't consciously admit they're testing your boundaries, but they absolutely notice whether boundaries exist. If there are no rules, people naturally push further. That's human behavior. Kids do it. Employees do it. Clients do it. Even friends do it. And if saying no makes you uncomfortable, people can feel that. That discomfort becomes an opening, and some people will absolutely take advantage of it. Not always because they're evil. Sometimes they're just opportunistic. They take whatever access you allow. That's why boundaries aren't about being aggressive. They're about being clear, very clear. For example, I require payment before starting. I only offer 2 revisions. I'm unavailable on weekends. I don't give free consultations. My schedule is fully booked this week. Simple, direct, professional. No emotional explanation needed. One mistake people make is over-explaining boundaries. They say, "I'm so sorry. I feel bad. I hope you understand." That invites negotiation. Confident people communicate boundaries without guilt. And here's something most people don't realize. The people who get angry at your boundaries were usually benefiting from your lack of boundaries. Read that again. Healthy people respect your limits. Users hate your limits. That difference matters. You might lose certain relationships when you start protecting your time. That's normal. Some people only liked the version of you that was easy to use. Once you become harder to access, they disappear. That's not a loss. That's clarity. And boundaries protect more than your money. They protect your mental health, your energy, your focus, your reputation. Because when you say yes to too many things, you eventually start delivering poor results. You become stressed, late, frustrated, burned out. Then your quality drops. Then your reputation suffers. All because you lacked the courage to say no earlier. Boundaries prevent that. They help you perform at a higher level, and they create healthier relationships. Because resentment destroys relationships faster than honesty ever will. It's far better to clearly say, "This is what I can offer," than secretly feeling angry while pretending everything is fine. That fake generosity eventually explodes, and when it does, everyone gets hurt. Strong boundaries create sustainable success. They allow you to help people without destroying yourself. They allow you to grow without constant distractions. And they teach others how to treat you. That last point is huge. People learn your value from your standards. If you treat your time like it's cheap, others will too. If you treat your work like it has no structure, others will expect chaos. If you respect yourself, others are far more likely to respect you too. And remember this,
Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They keep out people who drain you and make room for people who truly respect you.
One of the biggest reasons people stay broke, stressed, and emotionally drained has nothing to do with lack of talent. It has nothing to do with bad luck. And it's not because they don't work hard enough. A lot of people stay stuck because they're trapped in what I call favor culture. And favor culture sounds harmless on the surface. It hides behind words like, be loyal. Don't forget who helped you. We're family. We're friends. Don't be so transactional. Why are you acting different now? Sounds emotional. Sounds moral. Sounds noble. But a lot of the time, it's manipulation disguised as morality. And many ambitious people fall into this trap because they don't want to seem selfish. They want to be seen as kind, loyal, dependable, generous. So they keep saying yes. Yes to free work. Yes to unpaid favors. Yes to constant emotional labor. Yes to helping people who never help them back. And over time, their life becomes full of people who take, but rarely give. That's what favor culture does. It creates one-sided relationships, and one-sided relationships eventually become resentment. Think about the friend who only calls when they need something. They need money. They need connections. They need career advice. They need favors. They need emotional support. But when your life gets difficult, they disappear. Suddenly, they're busy. That's not friendship. That's convenience. And many people stay trapped in these relationships because they fear looking cold. They fear being judged. They fear hearing, you changed. You only care about money now. You think you're better than everyone. That guilt keeps people small because they'd rather protect fake harmony than protect their future. And this gets even worse when family is involved. Family pressure can be brutal. You start earning more money, building a business, creating opportunities, and suddenly relatives start appearing with requests. Can you invest in this? Can you help me get a job? Can you lend me money? Can you do this for free? And if you say no, they act like you betrayed the family. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, family can become one of the biggest obstacles to financial growth if boundaries don't exist. Not because family is bad, but because familiarity often removes respect. People assume access, and access without boundaries creates abuse. Again, not always intentional, but still damaging. And let's talk about networking. A lot of people think high-level relationships are built on favors. That's completely wrong. Real high-value relationships are built on mutual value, mutual respect, mutual opportunity, mutual contribution. Successful people don't constantly ask for free handouts. They understand value exchange. They respect people's time. They know relationships should be balanced. Low-level people often ask, what can I get from this person? High-level people ask, how can we both benefit? Massive difference. And here's another harsh truth. Sometimes people want you to stay small because your growth makes them uncomfortable. When you start charging more, they complain. When you become less available, they complain. When you set boundaries, they complain. When you focus on your own goals, they complain. Why? Because the old version of you was easier to control. You were available, you were useful, you were easy to guilt. Now you're harder to manipulate, and that threatens people who benefited from your weakness. That's why growth can feel lonely. Not everyone celebrates your evolution. Some people preferred the version of you that constantly sacrificed yourself. But mature relationships survive growth. Immature relationships collapse when free access disappears. That's a powerful filter. And you need that filter. Because your future gets destroyed when too many low-quality people have unlimited access to your energy. Every unnecessary favor costs something. Time, focus, money, emotional bandwidth. And those costs compound over years. That's why highly successful people become extremely selective. Not rude, selective. They help intentionally, they give strategically, and they protect their inner circle carefully.
because they understand something most people learn too late. You cannot build an extraordinary life while constantly carrying people who refuse to carry themselves. That doesn't mean abandon people. It means stop becoming a permanent solution for people committed to temporary effort. Support growth-minded people. Help disciplined people. Invest in relationships that are reciprocal. But stop rewarding dependency, and stop letting guilt control major life decisions. Your life is not a public resource. Your success is not a community charity program, and your future should not be sacrificed to protect unhealthy relationships. The people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. The people who only benefited from your weakness will call you selfish. Let them, because becoming financially independent often requires disappointing people who were comfortable with your self-sacrifice, and that's a price worth paying.
At this point, you probably understand the problem. Being too nice can make people disrespect you. Free work can create entitlement. Unpaid advice gets ignored. Weak boundaries attract users. And guilt keeps people trapped in one-sided relationships. So now the real question becomes, how do you actually fix this? How do you charge for your value without feeling like a bad person? How do you protect your time without becoming cold? How do you build wealth without destroying relationships? This is where most people struggle, because understanding the problem is easy. Changing your behavior is harder, especially if you've spent years being the nice person, the reliable one, the always available one, the person who says yes to everything. That identity can feel hard to break, but if you want real freedom, you have to break it. And the first step is simple. Stop apologizing for your prices. A lot of people say things like, "Sorry, I know this is expensive. I usually don't charge this much. I can lower the price if needed." That immediately weakens your position. If you don't believe in your own value, why should anyone else? Confident professionals simply say, "My rate is $500. My consultation fee is..." This project starts at... No guilt, no long explanation, no emotional discomfort. Just clarity. And clarity makes people trust you more, even if they say no. And remember, a rejection is not disrespect. Not everyone is your customer. That's normal. The second step, create systems. Systems protect your peace. For example, require deposits before starting work, set deadlines, limit revisions, create contracts, charge for consultation calls, define what's included. Successful people don't rely on "trust me, bro" business models. They build structure. Structure prevents chaos, and chaos is expensive. Third, learn how to say no quickly. This changes everything. When someone asks for free labor, "Can you help me with this real quick?" You can say, "I'd love to help. Here's my rate." Or, "My schedule is full right now." Or simply, "I'm not available." That's enough. You don't owe everyone a detailed explanation, and no is a complete sentence. Fourth, separate real relationships from opportunistic relationships. This is huge. Ask yourself, would this person still support me if I stopped helping them? Would they celebrate my success? Do they ever provide value back? Or do they only contact me when they need something? That question reveals everything. And sometimes the answer hurts. But clarity is better than fake relationships. Fifth, help intentionally, not emotionally. There's nothing wrong with generosity. Helping people can be meaningful. But help should come from choice, not pressure, not guilt, not fear of being disliked. You can absolutely help family, support friends, mentor younger people, but do it because you genuinely want to, not because people manipulated your emotions. That difference matters. Sixth, understand that charging filters out the wrong people. This is one of the most powerful lessons in business. When you start charging fairly, some people disappear. At first, that feels scary, but it's actually good news, because those people were never serious. They loved access, not your value. The right clients stay. The right relationships stay.
The right people respect your growth. And finally, understand this. Your time is your life. People casually ask for just 30 minutes, but those small requests add up. 30 minutes here, an hour there, a free project, a favor, a random call. Years disappear like that. And one day, people wake up wondering why they worked so hard but built so little. Because they spent too much time building everyone else's life and not enough time building their own. That has to stop. If you want wealth, protect your time. If you want peace, protect your boundaries. If you want respect, respect yourself first. And if someone calls you selfish because you finally value your time, let them. Many people only liked the version of you that was easy to exploit. That version of you needs to disappear. Because successful people understand something most people never learn. Being generous is powerful. Being available to everyone is destructive. There's a huge difference. Your value deserves compensation. Your knowledge deserves respect. Your effort deserves boundaries. And your future deserves protection. So the next time someone says, "Come on, we're friends. It'll only take a minute. Why are you charging me?" Remember this. The people who truly respect you will never ask you to shrink your value for their convenience. And the people who leave when you set standards, they were never truly on your side. Charge fairly, protect your time, build real relationships, and stop feeling guilty for becoming valuable.